friends, and welcome or welcome back to my channel. I wanted to come on and do a love reading today because I wasn't here yesterday. And first I'm going to do an energy check to see what kind of situation you're in and the person connected to you. So if you're not resonating with the energy that I'm pulling in the beginning of this reading, it's probably not your reading. But yeah, I hope you guys are all doing well. So we have the Two of Pentacles, and that's about, Two of Pentacles is about finding balance. So perhaps I'm not sure if you're in contact with this person or not, but there could have been something out of balance. Perhaps you were trying to create balance. I'm seeing the Temperance card. So sometimes in these love situations, these love connections, I'm hearing soul contract as well. When there's two people and there's, an imbalance in the energy, sometimes one person will start to overgive to try and create that balance. Sometimes, you do it consciously. Sometimes it happens from an unconscious place of wounding. So you start overgiving, people pleasing, thinking that if you give more, that it will create a balance, when really it just tips that scale. Also, the person you're connected to could have been someone, actually, just wait. You guys know the Moonology decks? I bought myself the calendar, so I just want to see what today's says. Moon in Aquarius. If you're reckless in your decisions and actions today, you may pay the price under the Aquarian dark moon. However, if you think positively and talk to the right people, you could change everything. Maybe some of you are thinking about reaching out to this person. Or that could be connected to your person. So let's just see what happens. Anyway, what I was saying was possibly the person you're dealing with, if you're connected to someone who's lacking balance in their life, it's really hard for them to show up in a connection and give balance to a connection, because a person can only meet you where they are, right? You could also struggle with balance in your life. Maybe maybe you're working on finding a healthy balance between work and family, or working out and work, self-care, work. Anyway, yeah, we have death here, so release. So Scorpio, Aquarius energy could be symbolic. That's interesting. I see this as shedding like unhealed parts of ourselves. This could have been a connection that was weighing you down and there needed to be an ending. This could be someone that you've been trying to release as well, but maybe you haven't been able to. All right, and we have take the lead, Three of Wands. All right. So what I'm hearing is you could have been in a situation where it was out of balance, and perhaps you knew that there needed to be a transformation, and maybe you were in a cycle with this person. Maybe you were hoping for change, expecting change, trying to be patient for change with that death card. There could have been negative emotional patterns repeating within this connection on both sides. And with this Three of Wands, perhaps you have taken the lead and perhaps you've released it and you are working on your own growth and your progress moving forward. With that release card and the death card and the Three of Wands, I'm also hearing, something about needing to heal the patterns that have kept you stuck from moving forward and creating a healthy connection. And that could be very symbolic for your person's energy as well. All right, so that's what we're getting right away. So let's continue this energy check. We have feeling alone, Five of Pentacles. So Five of Pentacles, it feels like within this connection, there definitely could have been abandonment wounds, attachment wounds, codependent wounds. It's very interesting how those wounds can affect us. They usually happen very early on in life by the environment that we're in. and then they affect us in our adult lives, in our connections, even work connections, or like work, how you could be someone who overgives to work and is not appreciated, but you have a fear of abandonment or an attachment wound to it, so you keep giving to it. A lot of these, a lot of these trauma responses happen unconsciously. So if you resonate with having this wound or being codependently attached or have abandonment wounds, in my playlist, I do have under the wounds, I have already done those specific wounds in one reading. And it will really give you some insight to how you show up in relationships. And not only that, but how this person would have been showing up in this relationship. That attachment wound, or no, sorry, the abandonment wound it really does explain the runner-chaser dynamic, or the overgiving and undergiving dynamic. Anyway, so 5 of Pentacles, you could be a Taurus, but I'm trying to figure out who this is, because when I first started like meditating for this reading, I was overwhelmed with anxiety. So it could be that the person you're connected to, like my intuition is telling me that the person you're connected to is actually feeling on the outs of your energy. I feel like maybe you took the lead here and started focusing on your own growth, right? You stopped. Clearly there was negative emotional patterns repeating with the Death card, and maybe you were resisting like giving up on this connection or stepping back, hoping that that cycle would change. Blocked throat chakra. But I feel like you took the lead and you've been focusing on your own healing. And what I'm feeling is that you've got, we have the 5 of Cups in reverse here. So this is the energy of healing past wounds. And I've been talking about those wounds, like abandonment wounds, a lot. And one of the way we heal that abandonment wound or that attachment wound is actually to change direction. It's to stop giving to those situations, to focus on ourselves. So intuitively, I kind of feel like you're healing, and you could be focusing on your happiness right now with the Sun card, healing past wounds, right? And I feel like the person connected to you is on the outside looking in, feeling like on the outs of your energy. Maybe they're very anxious about how to come back in, but that's what I'm getting right away. So let's check your energy first. Show me the viewer's energy. Yeah, see, we have rest and reconsider. So this is the 9 of Wands. So typically with the 9 of Wands, this deck is a bit of a different kind of energy. So right now it feels like you have taken a step back. I don't want to say you've isolated yourself from this person, but if you look at this image, this person is very high up, right? So it feels like you've removed yourself from the situation. Maybe you were wounded and wary from, repeating these negative emotional patterns within this connection. And it feels like you're guarding your energy right now, or you're gaining higher perspective about this energy. Because like I said, you see this person way up on a cliff. It's an independent energy, 9. Rest and reconsider. So it feels like you're really reconsidering the dynamic between you and this person. You could be reconsidering, whether or not you even see a potential future with them. The 9 of Wands also is about perseverance and self-improvement. So that's what's coming through for you. And we have the heart chakra. 1994 could be symbolic, or April 9th, September 4th. But it feels like you're working on healing your heart. So you could have had a blocked heart chakra here. Sometimes when we have a blocked heart chakra, we can overgive out of a fear of abandonment. So it feels like you're really healing your heart here, reconsidering this situation, whatever it is. And we have control, which is the Strength card. So it feels like you are trying to stay in your inner strength. It's funny because when I looked at that moon calendar day thing, it says if you're reckless in your decisions and actions today, you may pay the price. So I'm wondering if like you're trying to control yourself from reaching out. Like it feels like you're trying your best to hold your energy back and kind of protect your heart space with this energy, right? Nine of Wands, like usually you see boundaries around the person. So it feels like you're very much trying to be strong and protect your heart space right now and focus on yourself. And I also feel like you were very dedicated to this connection because we look at the 3 8s. 888. This could have to do with like maybe think back to the Lionsgate portal. What were you manifesting? What were you going through on August 8th? That's really interesting. Maybe look up that angel number. 1983 could be symbolic 88. But it feels like, I feel like you were very invested in this connection again. And I feel like there was a negative emotional pattern repeating and you were resisting change. And you know, I talk about cycles. So maybe you were in a cycle with this person where you were not giving up, right? You were persevering, you were trying to find balance, you were trying to have something change in the dynamic, but all we have control over is the change within us. We can't make another person change. And I talk about like cycles, you know, we get frustrated because we get stuck in these cycles. And really, if we just stepped out of the cycle and removed our energy, the cycle would stop. You know, I was talking about this weird analogy, but I was talking with my partner about how my kids are in this cycle of like not putting their dishes in the dishwasher, and they're all neurodivergent. So I started putting up Post-it notes to remind them. And there's like 5 Post-it notes all around the sink. Put your dishes in the dishwasher. And they continue not to do it. And I said to my partner this morning, like, part of it is I'm responsible for that cycle because I continue to go into the kitchen, see a sink full of dishes, and put them in the dishwasher myself. So they're not learning. Like, I'm stuck in that cycle and it's not making them learn anything, right? So today I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. But anyway, what is this one? This is the 8 of Cups, okay? So it feels like you have walked away from this and you're trying to have the strength not to chase, not to reach out, and you're trying to focus on yourself, protecting your heart space. Leo energy. All right, so let's see your person's energy. Okay. Interesting. They have 8 as well. They have manifest, and they have the Ace of Cups in reverse, awaiting results, 7 of Pentacles. Okay, so you could have been dealing with someone that did have a lot of ego. It almost feels like this person, blue eyes could be symbolic 1981, the 18th of a month, January 8th, August 1st, November 8th, August 11th. It feels like this person is struggling with their self-confidence, struggling with self-love right now. You could have a soul bond with this person. This card in particular can represent, you know, a soul bond between two people, a soul contract. It feels like this person, you know, I saw the 8 of Wands, so it feels there's a lot of 8s coming out, and it feels like this person wants to reach out to you, but they're waiting for the right time to do so. They could even be waiting for you to reach out to them. Like, think about it. If you were in a cycle where, you know, sometimes you pulled your energy back, but you always reached back out after a certain amount of time, You know, this person could be hoping that you're going to reach out to them. They could be waiting, manifesting that you reach out to them. Like I said, you could have been dealing with someone who was acting from a place of ego. They could have been trying to control this situation. Right now, they're really not feeling the greatest with Ace of Cups in reverse. And I just keep looking at that moon calendar. If you're reckless in your decisions and actions, you may pay the price. However, if you think positively, you could change everything. But right now, I don't think this person is thinking positively with that Ace of Cups in reverse. I think that they're missing your energy. It's interesting because it's like you're protecting your heart, and then over here, I think they're feeling that. You could have also been dealing with someone who maybe was coming across manipulative like they could have been acting from a place of ego, a lack of self-confidence, a lack of self-love. And they could have even been like appearing manipulative is what I'm hearing, especially with that death card, you know? I feel like there was a lot that you both needed to release that maybe kept repeating in this connection. Yeah, see, we have Seek, Hermit energy. So I feel like this person is withdrawn. They're reflecting about this. And like I said, they could be waiting for you to reach out to them. And I feel, again, I talked about a cycle. So if you were in a cycle of always reaching out to this person, you know, I think it's important that you don't right now. I just want to get one card for connecting energy between you, for the dynamic between you. Okay. All right. Very clear. Oh my gosh. We have Four of Wands on the bottom. So you could definitely feel, you know, you could definitely feel like a counterpart energy with this person, a soul contract energy with this person. This is the connecting energy between you. So we have the moon and we have the Six of Cups. So it feels like, you know, that death card where the person was like releasing kind of the dark armor, right? I feel like right now, both of you have fear and uncertainty about this connection. I feel like both of you are confronting your shadows. Both of you are confronting your childhood wounds here. And, you know, maybe you tried to do it together. But this healing begins is very telling to me because I feel like whatever dynamic you were in with this person, you couldn't heal together. We have Leo, Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, Cancer energy. June 18th could be symbolic. But it's like right now you're both confronting your childhood wounds and you're both starting to heal. Both feeling, you know, a longing for each other with the Six of Cups, feeling nostalgic, wanting to reach out. It's like both of you want to reach out to each other. You know, if you're counterparts, the healing happens in separations. So perhaps I just feel like this is the time for both of you to focus on healing your own shadows and healing your childhood wounds here. All right. So I'm going to get some tarot to confirm this. What deck? Whoa, we're crooked. I just looked at the clock at 1911, or the timer. 1911. So November 19th could be symbolic. If you were born in 1911, that's amazing. What deck do I want to use? I'm going to go for this one. All right, so let's cut the deck. What do we got? We have the Two of Wands. All right, so the Two of Wands just kind of explains perfectly what I was talking about. So right now, it's like neither one of you are moving. Neither one of you are taking action. And the Two of Wands is about like thinking about the future. It is a fear of stepping out of your comfort zone, right? So maybe it was out of your comfort zone to step away from this. Maybe it's out of your comforts, or maybe it's out of their comfort zone to come towards you right now. But one of the meanings that I always really associate with the Two of Wands is it's an energy where you're made to, like, you're meant to be looking at the patterns that you repeat, right? From an unhealed place that keep you stuck from moving forward and building healthier relationships. And this is also, you know, we see this person on a mountain, right? You're up here, but it's a very like this looks very isolating. Like it's this person on a mountain with like a one-person tent. They have a map there. What's underneath this? These cards stick together. That's my only complaint. 9 of Wands, see? So I feel like this is you and your person, right? I feel like your person is in hermit energy, looking at the patterns that have kept them stuck from moving forward, confronting those shadows. I feel like this is you distancing yourself, like maybe getting a higher perspective, because maybe when you were in this connection, you couldn't see it clearly. Very interesting. February 9th could be symbolic, or September 2nd. All right, so let's just confirm all this. We have the 7 of Wands, boundaries, protecting the heart space. Okay. You could definitely have boundaries up. The 7 of Wands can also speak of someone who can be defensive when they feel their wounds being triggered. So perhaps, you know, one of you were defensive. We have the 4 of Wands. So we do have this confirmation of the 4 of Wands twice, 1111. You know, the 4 of Wands, what I'm seeing here, I'm kind of seeing a pattern. You know, 3 of Wands was in your energy taking the lead. So it feels like you took the lead, pulled your energy back, started focusing on your own healing. Your person is currently in the 2 of Wands is what I'm getting, where they are meant to be looking at the patterns that keep them stuck from moving forward. Patterns that maybe come from a place of ego, a place of childhood wounding. You know, without going through that 3 of Wands, progression, growth, looking at those patterns, how can we get to the 4 of Wands? How can we get to stability? And, you know, sometimes I see the 4 of Wands as these are your 2 wands, that's their 2 wands. So in order to come together in union, you both have to be in a healthier, stable energy. One more shuffle. 10 of Cups, emotional fulfillment. So I feel like both of you, you know, want to work towards union, emotional fulfillment. 2 of Wands. This person could have a fear of commitment. They could have like maybe being happy, right? Mr. Crow's outside. Maybe being happy, being emotionally fulfilled is outside of their comfort zone. Again, that video about abandonment wounds, attachment wounds, and codependency, I'm really feeling it in this reading. Also, this is telling me maybe you have children together, but these hot air balloons are symbolic of ascension. So I feel like both of you kind of need to ascend before you could come back together. Rainbow, divine intervention. All right. So let's confirm what's going on here. The Hermit. What did I say about that 2 of Wands? Hermit energy. So it feels like you're both in Hermit energy right now, okay? Which, you know, is a good thing, because the Hermit is about, it is about being withdrawn, but it's also about self-reflection, soul introspection, confronting what we need to heal, right? 3 of Swords in reverse, healing. That's good. That's really good. So, you know, whether you pulled your energy back and went into hermit mode first or not, It feels like both of you are working towards healing past wounds right now. All right, so clearly there needed to be an ending here. The Star, healing. Maybe this person wants to apologize to you. You could be working on forgiving them. All right, so let's see your energy. Death. Transformation. The Crow. Mr. Crow is outside. So you're going through a transformation. You're releasing the past version of this connection. You know, again, maybe you were resisting change here. Maybe there were negative emotional patterns being repeated on both sides, right? Mr. Crow. He says, I'm here. These cards didn't come out, but what are they? Page of Cups, inner child healing, new perspectives, right? Everything we've been talking about. The Magician. Having the willpower, right, to focus on your own transformation. It very much aligns with what was coming out for you. King of Wands. You could have been dealing with the King of Wands. Scorpio energy, fire, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Taking the lead, right? Taking control. The King of Wands, taking control of your life. So no longer waiting for this person to change is what I'm hearing. Very powerful. All right, let's get a few more. Geez, that came out very aggressively. Okay, so we have the Eight of Swords here. So you could be overthinking, right? The Eight of Swords is also, you know, Ace of Pentacles, the Lovers, Eight of Swords. So you could almost feel trapped by this person's energy. And what I mean by that is not that you're trapped with them, but that you feel that lover's connection, like that soul bond. Perhaps, again, that codependency attachment. Perhaps, you know, you felt very stuck in this situation. It could have caused a lot of overthinking, limiting beliefs. You could still be struggling with limiting beliefs here. But we do have the Ace of Pentacles. So it feels to me like, you know, the Lovers is not just about the connection you feel with the other person. The Lovers is also about a choice, and it can symbolize needing to choose yourself. So I feel like right now you're choosing yourself, focusing on your own stability. All right, we've got Gemini energy with the Lovers, divine connection. I was kind of feeling that. You could have limiting beliefs that you could ever have a union with this person right now. Because again, maybe this person was really resistant to change. Let's see their energy. Okay, this is good. This is really good. We've got the Hermit. That's been confirmed twice in their energy, and we have the Three of Wands, right? And remember what I said about the Three of Wands. So I don't think they're there right now, although maybe they are. We'll check. Three of Wands. Remember what I said about the Ten of Cups, how there needed to be an ascension, right? With the hot air balloons. So right now this person is actually stepping out of their comfort zone and going within. So again, confronting specifically childhood wounds, patterns that have kept them stuck from moving forward. This is very positive. And like I said, you could have a limiting belief that this person will never change, that they're not actually, that is interesting, that they're not actually healing. Page of Cups, new perspectives, okay? Six of Pentacles, finding balance. Remember where this started, the Two of Pentacles, the imbalance. So it feels like they're having a new perspective about how energy works, you know? Energy, when it's not reciprocated, cannot flow. It can't expand. And it's something I wish we could, you know, sometimes I wish you could explain to people, right? Like, but if they're not willing to see that perspective, right? If they're in a place of ego, they won't get it. They could even be, for some of you, they could be getting help with healing their childhood wounds from like a counselor or a mentor or something. But they are gaining a new perspective specifically about reciprocal energy. And I am seeing like all three of these cards speak of reaching out, right? Like the Page of Cups talks about wanting to revisit a connection. The Six of Pentacles can talk about wanting to reach out to someone. The Three of Wands can talk about like stepping out of their comfort zone, wanting to reach out. So it's almost like I keep looking at this calendar, right? I've never mentioned this calendar in my readings, and I just can't stop looking at it. So it's almost like, I almost feel like if you're reckless in your decisions and actions today, it might not go down the way you want. Like if you were to reach out to this person today, this person could be thinking positively, talking to the right people. Remember, the Six of Pentacles can sometimes be about getting help from someone, and it could change everything. All right, I want to see, how do you feel about this person? And that includes how they were showing up in the past, okay? So maybe I'm going to leave it open to your past feelings about them as well. How are you feeling about this person? Oh my. These cards stick together. Okay, look at this. Knight of Wands. That's why I said past. Knight of Wands, okay? So you feel in the past that this person was possibly a runner, right? This is the energy, though, of like fear of commitment, hot and cold, on again, off again, inconsistency, right? Right back to the beginning, the Two of Pentacles. And look at what we have here. We have the Nine of Swords and the Queen of Swords. So it feels like their inconsistency, their hot and cold energy made you anxious. It made you overthink. It made you lose sleep, you know? And that's no way to live, right? That's no way to live. Like, I feel like you were stuck in a cycle with this person, right? Where you were constantly second guessing yourself. You were like feeling heartbroken, sad, crying, losing sleep, stressing out, overthinking. And the Queen of Swords is showing me that like deep down, I don't think you felt like this person was giving you or appreciating you. Like the Queen of Swords can be, I know what I deserve, right? I deserve better than this. And the Queen of Swords is also an energy of boundaries. So it feels like you could have hit your breaking point here where you had to put up boundaries or you had to say something. And maybe when you put up that boundary, they ran, right? And you could overthink about that with the Eight of Swords. Like you could overthink about that. The Eight of Swords actually can also be an energy of the trauma that we have that can be healed, right? So, Mr. Crow. So just like looking at this, you know, you could have, again, trauma that's kept you stuck and now you're looking at healing it so that you can call in something healthier. But yeah, it definitely looks like you felt like you needed to put up boundaries and you feel like you need to protect your energy right now. Mr. Crow confirms. It's funny because it's winter, but it's very nice out today, so a lot of the birds are out. So yeah, we have the moon, so you could be divine feminine. But I feel like, you know, I feel like the way this person was showing up was causing a lot of fear and anxiety within you and could have been triggering some of your shadows. And, you know, any type of situation where there's inconsistency like that, hot and cold, it can cause, you know, your brain to release a hormone and you can actually become addicted to it. So people will say like, why do you put up with that? Why are you still with that person? Why don't you just forget about them? But that hot and cold, the push pull, dynamic can actually cause you to become chemically addicted to it, right? Let's see how they're, well, I want to get one more for how you're feeling about them. Okay, very clear, right? Possibly feel like this is a fated connection with the Wheel of Fortune, but we have the Seven of Pentacles and the Four of Wands. So either you were married to this person or you saw them as like your counterpart, your twin flame. I believe that you wanted to come into union with them. You invested time and energy into this Seven of Pentacles, but that Seven of Pentacles, we see that person waiting to see the fruits of their labor. You know, this is someone, you, who felt like you invested time and time again, or you spent a long time investing in this. But it's clear to me that you feel like there needed to be a change. And also cycles, right? So I feel like there was, again, some kind of cycle playing out here. And the only way to stop a cycle pattern is to step out of it, to stop repeating it. You can't, like my children, I can put all the Post-it notes up in the world, but as long as I keep putting the dishes in the dishwasher for them, that they're not going to stop that pattern, right? Let's see how they're feeling about you. Page of Swords. Page of Swords. So this is someone keeping an eye on you. They're curious about what you're up to. You definitely could have taught them something about themselves with the Page of Swords. They could actually be, you know, the Page of Swords can talk about a decision where you need to consult someone professional. And I was seeing that Six of Pentacles. So right now they could actually be consulting, you know, like I said, a counselor, a therapist, someone professional about how to handle this. This is the energy of like wanting to get more information before they start that conversation. So there's definitely an energy of like wanting to talk to you. 10 of Wands on the bottom. So this is weighing heavily on them right now. 4 of Pentacles, Temperance, the Empress. I think they're feeling too insecure to reach out to you right now. Let's get another one for how they feel about you. 2 of Wands, right? Fear of leaving their comfort zone, thinking about what they want for their future, thinking about taking action, right? But they're hitting a wall here. And again, you could have taught them something about their own patterns that have kept them stuck from moving forward. Maybe you were trying to teach this person about patterns, but they weren't, like, again, when somebody's perception is stuck, there's nothing you can do to convince them of the patterns you're seeing or the shadows that you're seeing, right? They have to come to that in their own time. So right now they are feeling, you know, afraid to come towards you, or they're pausing because I think it's outside of their comfort zone, right? Maybe you always made the first move. Maybe they need to apologize to you, and that's out of their comfort zone. If you have boundaries up, right? That could be causing them to, like, I don't know how to reach out because there's boundaries there. Knight of Pentacles. Maybe it's been a while since you've heard from this person. It could be good with horses. Let's get another one for how they feel about you. Six of Wands. All right. So this is the energy. Six of Wands, bruised ego, right? It's in reverse. So I do feel like you bruised their ego. But Six of Wands in reverse, you know, they're feeling like they neglected you, like they didn't see you. They didn't recognize what you were trying to do here, the love that you were trying to give. We also have the Star in reverse, which is showing there is a bit of lack of hope in their energy, right? And think about, again, that moon calendar. I've never mentioned it before. If you think positively and talk to the right people, you could change everything. It's almost like if this person was feeling more positive and could take that step towards you and tell you, like, hey, I'm starting to heal. I'm starting to see what you were talking about. They could change everything. Like, look at the synchronicities. We have the Wheel of Fortune. So it feels like if they could do that, they could actually change what's happening here. But because they have that lack of hope, right? That it's almost like a pessimistic, negative, like you'll reject them or whatever. This could be someone who's like very, like has a very negative, what's the word I'm looking for? Catastrophizing. They could always assume the worst. It's like they're not hopeful here, which is keeping them stuck. Wheel of Fortune, so they feel like this is a fated connection. Even they know there's adjustments that they need to make if they were going to come in and talk to you. Six of Wands in reverse can also be someone who's afraid to tell you how they feel. They could have also been afraid of being public with you, right? Like, so maybe there was a dynamic here for some of you where you were in a situationship or you were in a relationship, but they wanted to keep it on the down low, right? I'm just going to ask one more. How are they feeling about you? 10 of Cups. Oh, this is very telling, okay? So just looking at these cards, I can tell this person, geez Louise, I'm not going to take all these, but just by looking at these, I can tell that this person knows. They know what happened here. Like they're starting to realize, they're starting to have a shift in perspective. Like I said, I don't think they could see this through their own wounding, through their own ego. 3 of Pentacles in reverse, right? So they're seeing you as the, like emotional fulfillment, wanting to take the next step in a relationship, wanting to have a healthy connection with you. 3 of Pentacles in reverse, they're realizing that they weren't a good teammate in this connection. They weren't giving you what you deserved. They weren't reciprocating that energy. So lots of realizations happening here. I'm not going to take all these, but I want to talk about them. We have the Fool. So there is this energy of like, it's funny because in the imagery I'm getting for you, it's like you're up on this cliff, right? You're up here, you're elevating, you're ascending, the hot air balloons, right? And like, if you look at this is someone like coming up the mountain like, hey, here I am. We have the Hierophant and we have the Devil in reverse. So the Devil in reverse, right? They feel like you've kind of released them, that you're no longer codependently attached to them. There's definitely something about you teaching them something about themselves, because the Devil in reverse is about self-awareness, right? So they could, part of their fear could be that, you know, you could be on the healing journey. You could be someone who's very self-aware. And it's, you know, being self-aware, I'm hearing, is like a double-edged sword, right? Because it's great to be self-aware about ourselves. But when we're self-aware of like woundings and patterns and trauma responses and all those things, right, that we learn about on this healing journey, it can be hard when someone we're connected to isn't, right? All right. We've also got the Page of Cups here. Sorry, not the Page of Cups. Like all of these cards came out. I can't take them all. We have the Page of Wands, right? Feeling inspired to take action. 8 of Cups. So again, there's that energy where they feel like you walked away. You weren't getting what you deserved here, so you had to have the strength to walk away. They could also be reflecting about their own avoidant tendencies, I'm hearing, with that energy. All right, let's see where you are on your healing journey. The Hermit. Ah, that's good. Beautiful. That's good. Five of Pentacles in reverse. 1995 could be symbolic. May 9th, September 5th. But right now you're in hermit energy, so really focused on yourself, withdrawn from this connection, right? Withdrew your energy to heal, to focus. Five of Pentacles in reverse, amazing. That is making positive changes. That is, healing those wounds of the fear of abandonment, the fear of rejection, the codependency, the attachment, right? Again, I don't care if you watch my video or not. I really couldn't care less. But if you are working on some of those wounds, go watch something about them, right? Like, I read from this book all the time. Somebody asked, did they change the cover? Yes, they've changed the cover. It looks different. Same book. Maybe there's a table of contents in it now, because there isn't one in this one. Again, I don't sell this book. Sacred Shadows by the Reckoning Co. It's my favorite book. But if you are still struggling with those wounds that I mentioned, those 3 wounds, I have a video on it in my playlist in the wounding thing. Knowledge is power, like being aware of this, how it affects us, how we can fix it, work towards making different choices, very powerful, very healing. And if you don't feel like watching mine, like look up, there's lots of information out there on YouTube, right? About unhealthy attachment styles, how to heal them. The only thing I would, there is some content out there about like, you want an avoidant back, do this. Like, you don't want to be playing games, right? You want to, it's not about like distancing yourself and, playing these games just to get an avoidant back. It's really about healing yourself, right? Like, your intentions need to be good, is what I'm hearing. But anyway, that's what you're doing. That's what you're working on. You're working on making positive changes in your life, healing those wounds. Beautiful. Love it. All right. 6 of Swords. So you're transitioning here. You're going through a transition. Beautiful. Moving into calmer waters, right? Healing some of the wounds that maybe have been with you your entire life. Moving forward, right? Not waiting. Moving forward. Beautiful. Let's see where they are on their healing journey. The amount of cards that come flying out for your person is just like, every time it's like 4 or 5 cards. And they didn't come out in a clump. They just shot out all over my lap and onto the floor. Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so right now, the divine universe in control right now. They are currently making adjustments. Okay, they are currently going through change, which again, what I was seeing is you were waiting for change while connecting and the change wasn't happening, so you walked away. Okay, there's 4 cards, 5 cards. Let me see what they are. We've got the Empress in reverse. That's okay. We've got the King of Cups in reverse. We've got the 10 of Cups in reverse. We've got Temperance, and we've got 4 of Pentacles. All right. Very specific. I can see why all of them came flying out. Where do I want to put this? I'll put it right here. So where are they on their healing journey right now? Right now, they're feeling very insecure, okay? One thing that I'm seeing is that they are holding on to you, right? Imagine like the Lord of the Rings, okay? You know the attachment that Frodo, Gollum feel to the ring, right? They're still holding on to you in that sense, like they still feel your energy. The other thing I'm seeing here is, to me, suitcases can represent baggage. Okay, so I feel like right now there's still some baggage, some healing, some shadows that this person is still kind of holding on to that are keeping them stuck. Remember, they are starting to heal here, which is it's a good thing. We have Temperance. So their energy is starting to rebalance. They are starting to heal. Very positive. With the Ten of Cups, they're feeling this separation with you, okay? They're feeling the disharmony. There could be, for some of you, there could be meddling relatives getting in the way. You know, like maybe their parents. One thing that's coming to mind is, cycle breaking, right? So a lot of cycle breakers, a lot of people who heal, not everybody, but a lot of people who resonate with being the black sheep. Just like I was saying, you can't heal in this connection. If this person is still like very much ingrained in their family unit, right, with their parents, their siblings, whatever it is, and there's like some really unhealthy patterns there, it's really hard to change in that energy, right? That's why so many cycle breakers, so many black sheep actually detach from their family because their family isn't ready to heal. They don't want to heal. I know that a lot of you resonate with that. I resonate with that. So one of the problems here could be with the Four of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups is that this person has healing to do about the wounds they had from childhood. But because they're still so heavily involved with their family, that could be really difficult. Just like it would be difficult for you to heal this connection while you were in it, right? King of Cups. So what are they healing? This is interesting because the King of Cups talks about low effort, and it does talk about it talks about emotional manipulation. So even if this person was doing it unconsciously, right? Remember I mentioned with the Magician, this person could have been doing it from a very wounded place, right? Maybe they didn't realize they were doing it. I'm not here to make excuses for them. Whether they are wounded, whether they are, I'm going to say it, whether or not they are autistic, it doesn't excuse like mistreating others, right? But there was something about this person's energy where, they were putting in very little effort to this, right? It keeps coming through. And they could have been showing up like in a very emotionally manipulative way. And until we heal, it's hard for us to see how we're showing up in that emotionally manipulative way, right? It can be as simple as, someone someone growing up with some kind of wound that makes them defensive, right? So when you say they hurt you, instead of saying they're sorry, they go into defense mode or they like invalidate you or your experience, right? But that's where this person is on this journey right now. They're starting to heal these things. To me, it doesn't feel like they're ready to come forward yet, though, because they're making these changes, right? They've stopped resisting that change. And remember, I kept saying emotional negative patterns. So they're starting to work on those, just like you're starting to work on yours, right? Because it can be a negative emotional pattern to keep overgiving or to keep carrying the emotional weight of a connection or accepting less than you deserve. Again, I urge you to look at those wounds, those 3 wounds that I keep mentioning. It's very important. Like, that is why I'm here. Like, I'm not just here to do love readings, to have you hold on to hope. I'm not just here to give you that instant gratification. Connections, friendships, our work situations, love connections are meant to be teaching us about ourselves. They're a mirror, right? And the more you learn, the more you heal these wounds, the healthier you become. You attract in healthier connections, healthier relationships. So I urge you, if you haven't looked at those 3 specific wounds, please look at them. Ace of Wands, they're feeling inspired to make changes. And why is that, right? Energetically, I'm not saying they're conscious of any of this, okay? But there's a lot of people out there that don't believe in energy, but they believe in Wi-Fi and they believe in crap like that, right? Energetically, this person is feeling inspired to make these changes. Why? Because you've stopped engaging in the cycle, and clearly you mean something to this person. All right, what's blocking you? What is blocking you? Five of Pentacles. Okay, so like I said, you know what? If I can remember, I'm going to link it in the comment section, okay? I'm going to put the link to that video, attachment, abandonment, codependency, and it's going to blow your mind if you don't know about it. It's going to blow your mind about how it affects the way you would show up in this connection and how they would show up, right? I think you both have very similar wounds, but you showed up in completely different, like it was, your trauma responses were completely different from each other, right? So that's what's blocking you right now, or these wounds that you're already working on. So that's amazing, okay? That's amazing. You're already self-reflecting. We also have the Six of Cups here, so clearly childhood wounding. And that's why I said, I don't just do these readings for like, I want to get to the core of it. Like, what is keeping you stuck? What do you need to heal? What do they need to heal, right? So, childhood wounds, abandonment, rejection, neglect, okay? Because if you had a neglect wound, right? Because I'm seeing this person feels like they neglected you. So if you had a neglect wound, their inconsistency, the way you felt unseen by them would have triggered you, right? It would have been very upsetting to you because you were reacting from a wound from childhood. Just like if this person has a neglect wound where they never felt seen as a child, if you came into their energy and you were like loving on them, you could see them, you made them feel wanted, that would have scared the absolute poop out of them, right? Unconsciously, from a wounded place. Anyway, let's see what's blocking them. I get really passionate. What is blocking them? What is currently blocking them, please? We have the Five of Cups. So past wounds that need to be healed, right? Specifically, possibly mother wounds. Again, if you go into that playlist, there's also a video about mother and father wounds, and it's like mind-blowing. You know, I've read these wounds over and over and over again, and every time I reread them, another puzzle piece clicks for me. So this person, if they have a mother wound, right? I saw the Queen of Pentacles flip out and flip back in. If they have a mother wound where they felt like they weren't nurtured or cared for from their mother, they would unconsciously self-sabotage this connection, right? At one point, I saw the Empress for how they felt about you. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't talk about the Empress for where they are on their healing journey. My bad. Spirit just reminded me, Empress in reverse. This could be someone who's used to having other people do things for them. Again, the analogy that I used for my kids, not an accident. Because why do they not put, like, it sounds so silly, but why do they not? Like, there's 5 Post-it notes. Why do they not put their dishes in the dishwasher? Because I always come in and do it for them, right? Repeating a cycle. There's no reason to change. So right now, your person, like, one of the things is they rely on other people to make the first move or to take care of them or to, like, whatever it is. Also, lack of confidence is coming through for your person, like a lot of self-doubt that they're trying to heal. But anyway, back to them. For what's blocking them. Maybe this person, you know, the Five of Cups for a blockage, they have past wounds that need to be looked at. They need to reflect. and heal and awaken to these past wounds, which is what I'm seeing in their energy. And I'm going to say it's nowhere near time for the two of you to come together yet. Again, I almost feel like, again, that moon calendar is just staring at me. If they don't come in the right positive mindset, they just destroy this, right? So there really is a need for them to go within and reflect, which is starting. I can see it starting. And then we have the Ten of Swords. So for what's blocking them, they've been failing to see these lessons, right? This is probably someone, and maybe you can resonate with this a little bit, where they probably have had really painful endings in their life, connections, friendships, jobs that, have come to a sudden end, where maybe they really hurt someone or someone hurt them. And instead of thinking about it, reflecting, going into this Five of Cups, sadness, feeling the emotions, they probably just kept moving on and didn't stop to really, this is the energy of someone who jumps from connection to connection, friendship to friendship, never really reflecting on their part in the ending, the pain that they caused, right? This would be someone that wouldn't, it's that avoidant energy coming through again. So this wouldn't be someone who sits, there's a painful ending and then they cry and they reflect about, what could I have done differently? What was my part in the ending? It's almost like this person was just like, oh, it was them. That's a them problem. I'm just going to keep moving on, right? I'm hearing The Littlest Hobo. So maybe you're Canadian. Littlest Hobo is on Amazon Prime. Yo. I'm so old. Down the road is where I'll always be. Every stop I make new friends. Can't stay for long. I turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to settle down, right? Maybe tomorrow I'll work on that, or I'll commit to someone. German Shepherd could be symbolic. But again, I know that's a really long explanation. My passion is coming through here. Again, this is someone who hasn't integrated these lessons when there's been an ending. So when there's an ending, they just avoid, right? I'm seeing the Six of Swords in reverse. This is someone who doesn't look at their part in it. They just keep moving, avoiding the problem, right? It's kind of that energy, like maybe you've experienced it, where you wonder, I know I've had this moment in my life, this aha moment, where I continued to attract contractors, friendships, jobs, relationships where they would just take advantage of me. And I would just let them walk all over me and hurt me. And I just kept moving on thinking, why does this keep happening to me? Why does this keep happening to me? And I just keep going, attracting the same thing, repeating the same cycle until I finally stopped. Why is this happening to me? Oh, it comes from all this wounding. It comes from people pleasing and not standing up for myself and not having boundaries and all of that, right? So there really is a need for what's been blocking this person. I'm hearing, I think this person has done this their entire life. Mr. Crow is confirming, where instead of feeling sadness and reflecting after a connection ends or after there's a tower, they just kind of not my problem, and they just keep going and they don't integrate that lesson, right? Anyway, I know that was a really long explanation. So what is your advice right now? Nine of Cups, okay? Very, very important advice. So first of all, positive mindset when you're manifesting. Right now, Spirit wants you to have a willpower to find independent happiness, okay? And that's another thing. A lot of people who are unhappy look for happiness outside of themselves. It's not, don't be ashamed of it. That's what we're programmed to do, right? But Spirit really wants you to focus on your independent happiness, having the willpower, right? To be proactive and to focus on things that fulfill you, to be independently happy. Because think about it, this person feels about you the Eight of Cups. So they see you as someone who wasn't happy here. You chose yourself and you walked away to find something more fulfilling. And that starts within you. So again, Nine of Cups, yes, it's about wish fulfillment, but it's also about nine, being independently happy. You don't need anybody else to fulfill you. You don't need a connection to make you feel loved. You don't need a job or alcohol to make you feel any type of way, right? So work on your independent happiness, having the willpower. And there's another thing here about a positive mindset, okay? So one thing I saw in your energy, Eight of Swords, there's a bit of like limiting beliefs, right? So maybe every now and again you have that little voice, this person will never heal, I'll never find love, I'll be alone forever. Start challenging those thoughts, right? When they come through. When you hear yourself say to yourself, I'm going to be alone forever, I'll probably be alone forever. Challenge that thought. Reaffirm, I will not be alone forever. I have good things coming to me. I have happiness coming to me. Positive reinforcement. Again, wounding. I'm never going to stop talking about wounding, okay? So just, if you're waiting for me to stop, you'll be waiting forever. That maybe you didn't have like positive reinforcement as a child. Maybe you just had negative reinforcement, right? Maybe you just had a parent who the only time they said anything to you was to criticize you, right? Or maybe you were doing really good in school and then you would fail a test. And instead of telling you, like, you're a really good student, you've been doing really well, you know, who cares if you did bad on one test? Maybe they just said, like, how could you do that? Like, what do you think's going to happen? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they only ever gave you negative reinforcement. That affects us long term. The message we tell ourselves, or no, sorry, the message that is programmed into us as a child is the way we feel about ourselves as adults. So if you had a parent, right, who spoke to you negatively, said you were whatever, that's who you would grow up believing you are. That's why it's so important for parents out there, if you have kids, to give them that positive reinforcement. Because if you tell your kid that they're a unicorn and magical, they're gonna grow up thinking that they're magical, like they're a fucking magical unicorn. If you tell your kid they're a disappointment, they're gonna grow up feeling like they're a disappointment. Again, the way our parents spoke to us is what we grow up believing we are, right? And your person could resonate with that. I don't know where all this comes from. It just like, I'm very passionate about it, clearly. So positive mindset, okay? Trust in what you're manifesting, right? And it'll take willpower. You can do it. All right. What does Spirit want you to know about this person? What advice do you need about this person? All right. We've got the Five of Swords here, okay? So this person sabotaged this connection, okay? And I'm going to be honest. Even if you told them, you're being this, you're being that, you're sabotaging this connection, they wouldn't have been able to hear you because they were so stuck in their perception, okay? So Spirit wants you to know that this person sabotaged this connection from an unconscious place, even if you were consciously aware of how they were mistreating you. People coming from an ego, a wounded place, again, if their perception is fixed, that they're not the problem, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you show them. They're you cannot change their perception. So they were self-sabotaging here, specifically from childhood wounding. Doesn't mean how they treated you was okay, but this is how we can have compassion for people and keep moving forward instead of hating them for the rest of our lives, right? And that doesn't mean you have to take them back when they're in that self-sabotaging energy. But it helps us to have compassion for them. You know, Spirit, your advice. I do feel like this person wants to make amends with you. I don't think they're ready yet. Like, just my own honest... Oh my gosh, what movie am I getting? I need your honest, no bullshit assessment. What is that from? Black Hawk Down? Black Hawk Down could be symbolic. Sad movie, but I love that movie. Nine of Pentacles, okay? So right now this person needs to evolve into a healthier version of themselves before they can make amends with you. Two of Cups, right? So until they can have a healthy and honest, heartfelt conversation with you, they need to work on themselves. This is also in reverse here, the Knight of Swords, okay? So the Knight of Swords in reverse, very similar, like the Knight of Swords in reverse, this would have been someone who got very aggressive. This would have been someone who, you know, you could have felt bullied by them. There could have been really hurtful words from a really reactive place, right? Again, they were reacting from that wound. Again, it doesn't mean it's okay and that you should put up with it, but it helps us understand and have compassion in our own like moving forward on our own healing journey. And you know, the Five of Swords can also talk about not cutting cords, but like cutting someone out. So you did the right thing if this person was showing up in this Knight of Swords in reverse, right? Highly reactive, highly triggered, hurtful words, intense arguments. You did the right thing because there was a cycle of self-sabotage, okay? And as they work on themselves, we've got two more cards here. As they work on themselves, they're seeing this, right? There is, I believe your person is having an epiphany about how they need to work on themselves. But again, they weren't going to have that epiphany with you trying to convince them of it or you continuing to give, right? Maybe you did have a lot of compassion for this person. Maybe you saw through their wounds. So you stayed or put up with less than you deserved for a long time. But again, they're having an epiphany that they need to work on themselves here. So keep focusing on you. I know that was like, anyway. I get so into my readings. December 9th, September 12th could be symbolic. So I just want a couple messages from this person. I don't want anything crazy. Spirit, well, that's right on the top. You're always on my mind, even when I try and forget about you. That's what I was saying. Oh my. Well, you got the reunion card, which is very interesting to me. That doesn't come out a lot. You know, it just doesn't. Oh my. Well, that's good. These cards are positive. All right, butterfly. The butterfly knows the beauty of change. It settles when you least expect it. This is, when I was talking about energy, think about it. Your transformation has had a ripple effect here, energy wise, right? Especially if your counterparts. The wrong choice was made and now they sit in the pain of losing you. Nervous. You make me feel nervous and excited in a good way. I am scared to approach you. That's what I've been getting this whole reading. That they don't have the confidence and they're scared to approach you right now, which means it's not the right time, right? That's their body telling them it's not the right time. Think about it. Think about any time you got a message from this person or you were in this person's energy or you had plans with them and your body, you had the 9 of Swords, right? Think about how many times your body was trying to warn you, right? Think about the racing heart, the internal conflict, the anxiety. That was your body saying, you're not safe here, right? So the fact that that overcomes them when they think about reaching out to you, that's divine intervention, right? Like that is their internal system, their gut, their intuition telling them it isn't the right time. Strategizing, putting together an offer you cannot refuse, planning their next move. I don't know how I feel about this one. Because I would, do I feel like this person is reflecting about what happened in this connection? Yes. Do I feel like some of your peoples are knowing that there's a lot of changes that they need to make and approach this differently? Yes. But I also have to tell you to be aware that if this person did have, the King of Cups in reverse, if they did have if they did have some of that even unintentional manipulation, the last thing you want is this person coming in telling you exactly what they think you want to hear and then repeating a pattern. So use your discernment. If you hear from this person, listen to your body, like I just said. When you read their message, right? Or you hear from them, or you see their name on your phone. What is your body telling you? If your body goes into anxiety, into fear, your body is trying to warn you, okay? If it's the right time, it'll feel aligned with you. Over it. They know you are over the games and will no longer accept less than you deserve. Why is that? Because you walked away. You took the lead. You walked away. You put up boundaries. 8 of Cups, Queen of Swords, 3 of Wands. Spiritual detox, releasing negative thoughts in people, major spiritual awakening, cleanse and rebirth. Okay, so that's what this person needs to go through. That's what they're going through now in order to be that healthier version of themselves. In love, loved you yesterday, love you still, always will. Clearly they have love for you here. Nourishment, you feed my mind and nourish my soul. Your energy helps keep me going. And reunion, the force of love, the force of reunion is unstoppable. Together we are one. So think about how many times we saw the 4 of Wands, right? We saw it in multiple decks. So I think there is the potential of union here, but not in the way that this connection was in the past, right? There's the potential of union if you can truly embody that divine feminine, the Empress, and they can embody the divine masculine. The divine masculine, isn't aggressive, isn't argumentative, confidence, takes the lead, right? Very stable. The divine feminine doesn't accept less than she deserves, doesn't chase, trusts their intuition. I'm not talking about gender. I know that I'm using terms that sound like gender. I'm not. They're energy, okay? There's lots of men, gender, who are divine feminines. There's lots of women, gender, who are divine masculines. Anyway, I know that I'm repeating myself, so I'm gonna go. I'm sending you guys lots of love and light. I'm gonna try and remember to put that video at the top of the comments because, again, that's a huge part of how we heal who we're calling in. The energy that we're calling in is by healing ourselves. So I feel like those healing messages, or the people, like, again, who put out content who talk about how to heal unhealthy attachment styles. If you're watching tarot, you should definitely be learning also about healing unhealthy attachment styles and patterns and wounds and things like that. Okay. Anyway, I'm sending you lots of love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.